Christie, Lynn just talked about the importance of setting an identity for a team. For you as a first-year head coach, how important to you is that, and how do you kind of stress that with a new group in the first couple of days?
Identity is everything. I mean, and I've tried to empower our players to kind of show us what that is, because it's really about them. So everything that we've done up to this point has been discussed and talked to with as a small group with my leadership group, and then with the rest of the team. And you have to have buy-in from all of them. And if they think it's from them, it just can happen a lot faster than if it's just the coaches saying this and having to do that. So, yeah, our identity, we're working on that. Went to Chicago and played everybody across the board. We had some lineups that just changed them out, with 5 in, 5 out, and just trying to see who works well together. I mean, we had the whole game schemed out like a football game. So just really working on that piece.
That, I guess, after you had some time to digest the preseason game from Sunday, what else sort of stood out to you? What were sort of the most important messages you tried to get across about what you like and what you didn't like about the preseason game?
Yeah. Preseason games are, you want to go in with the mindset, and, we want to compete, like expect to win every time that the lights are on and we're playing basketball. But you also have to take a step back and look at what the roster looks like, see how people play together. So I was really honest with him. I was like, yep, this is a scrimmage game, but, we're going to compete, but you guys are also going to have to understand, like, we're not playing it as if we were going to play, Saturday or next Friday. But didn't get much sleep after that. I wasn't really happy about the preseason game. I felt like our effort wasn't there, and as a pro, that's one thing that we are not going to have to coach. We will put players here that bring it every night, that this is, and at practice and in games. Had about an hour and a half video session before we did our second scrimmage, and was very, very detailed in what we showed. Got really, had players that hadn't really had to watch themselves with their teammates around, where they weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and all of those things were shown. And I told them from the beginning, you're professionals now, and video is a great tool to help you improve your game. And so we went into that video session and was very pointed and direct on some things that weren't good, and went out and practiced before we played our second scrimmage, and our practice was at probably a level 8 out of 10, where the night before I thought was about a 6. So I think it registered, and I think they figured out we were going to do things differently.
Coach, right here.
Hey.
You got to take care of that voice. It's only the preseason now.
Right.
You talk about, when you're getting people to buy in, and in sports you always hear about the relationships, how important they are. How do you build those relationships with the group and with individuals as well?
Yeah. It started with our free agency, who we brought in free agency. We needed to have some vets who had some experience, and we got those in here. Not just good basketball players, but great people. I think that's where it starts. I've made it a point. I'm not a texter or a phone person very much. I'm probably in that age group where you're like, that's weird, but I'm just not. And so I told them from the beginning, like when they were overseas or away from Indianapolis, like, I'm going to build a relationship with you, but it's going to be, I took everyone that came to town dinner. We went to dinner. We had real FaceTime. I meet with my leadership group. There's a group of 5, and then I also meet individually. Right now I've been meeting individually with most of the players, most of the ones that were all the returners, and then all the free agency players that we brought in. That's everything, man. Relationships are everything. I can't coach certain people a certain way if I don't build a relationship with them and they don't know for sure that I have their best interests. I can't come in just guns a-blazing and try to make them do things when they aren't bought in. And so the relationship piece, number one, the most important.
Christie, with the youth of this team, what will the importance of Erica and Kelsey be as kind of an extension of the coaching staff on the court as this season gets going?
Yeah, I mean, those two are huge. I mean, Kelsey's been one who she leads by example. A lot of time, that's her personality. I've really asked her to step outside of herself and step into that uncomfortable space to be different as it relates to being a leader. E-Dub has figured it out by being different places of what that looks like. I thought she did a really good job in Atlanta with that. She's really working with the rookies that we have here, just trying to help them get to where they need to be and what that looks like. Kelsey has really picked it up. I've really challenged her. So, number one, those two guys are very important to lead these guys. Christy Wallace is big on that. She's got some experience. Emma Cannon has been great. Emma Cannon is a pro. She doesn't expect, all she wants to do is show up and do her job and make sure everyone else is doing theirs as well. So when you have those kind of people in the locker room, it really helps moving forward.
Coach, what kind of impact have you seen Aaliyah bring to this team already in a way that's surprised you a little bit?
Yeah. She has surprised me in a lot of ways. This level is different. And she's like a sponge. Like, whenever I say something, if she doesn't completely get it, like, she has no problem. She'll come talk to me. Well, I'll explain it to her. I actually took her out on the floor during the scrimmage game the other night, showed her some things with her footwork. She's just a huge presence. I mean, she was battling before Elizabeth Williams went down in the scrimmage game. She was battling her. Elizabeth is a great pro. She's a vet. She does everything the right way. Aaliyah just went in and, like, she just has that mentality. Like, she's going to do exactly what we're asking her to do. She's going to do it to the best of her ability, hard. She's picking up the defense. This is the speed and the quickness and the strength of this level is different for her. So she's trying to figure that out. But, I mean, she's just been a dominant presence on both sides already for us.
Go on Zoom. Maggie Hendricks, question for Coach.
Hey, Christy. I was wondering if you could go more into detail on what Kelsey's role will be this season on and off the court.
Kelsey's role. So Kelsey's got to make shots, right? That's what she's really good at. And that's what she's going to do. And we're empowering her and giving her the confidence. We're going to put her in position that she's comfortable getting the ball. She is, I think for me, like, it's very obvious what Kelsey's role is on the basketball court to me. And that's who she's been for the last several years of being here and now that she's a vet and what's going to be expected out of her. For me, the off-court stuff is where Kelsey is being challenged, because that will also help her on the court as well with her teammates. Kelsey's always come in. She does exactly what is asked. She comes and does it to the best of her ability. And then I need her to be more of a presence in the locker room and with these young players to help bring them along. I challenged her and I told her, because she's always going to come in and get her workout in, an extra workout. I said, don't ever come alone. Find somebody, bring them with you, and that helps them along the way. So the basketball, that's where Kelsey, she knows her role. She's got to put the ball in the hole for us. She's got to relieve the point guard at times. She's got to help when people like Chicago are pressuring full court. She knows that piece. But it's the off-court stuff that I'm really challenging her with.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Coach. Rick Henry, WIS-TV, Columbia, South Carolina. Just wondering, when you look at Aaliyah, Victoria, Destiny, is there anything you can point at the way they approach practice, or they just handle themselves on and off the court? And you can say, hey, that's someone who came through that Don Staley coach South Carolina program. Yeah,
I 100% agree with that, man. They go hard. If you guys could see Victoria and Aaliyah battling daily, you would not realize that they were friends, but they're really good friends. But they go at each other so hard. They're just a competitive group of people. Like, Dawn doesn't expect anything else, I don't think. They come in, they do what they're supposed to do. They ask questions. They're engaged in the practice. They're cheering their teammates on. But their competitiveness, like, that's where it is. I mean, they have been put through that for the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, and that's just what they know, and that's what they do, and that's what they have to bring at this level as well.
Angela, go ahead.
Coach, when we asked Lynn about the young youth of this team, she said it was like a kindergarten class. There's some that needed to graduate, some that were just toddlers. How do you see that as a coach on the hardwood in practice with such a young group of players?
Well, I don't get much sleep at night. So every day I write on the board 9. Like, there's been 9 first and second year players on this roster, and there's not a lot. There's very few teams that have 9 first and second year players. So it is really hard at times to, veterans take on a lot. When you have a veteran-led group, they're doing practices with the players. They're taking young people and doing things with them away from the practice time. Like, we don't have a lot of those yet, and there's so many of those young ones, it's just really hard to get that. So we find ourselves having to we went into this year like, hey, don't expect they know anything. And so that's how we've had to practice, and that's how we've had to prepare. So it's been a lot slower than what I'm used to, but that's okay because it is steps, and I've said it from day one. If we skip steps, we won't have that sustainable success. And we're not here for year one. Year two will be better. Like, we're going to keep getting better, and we're going to be able to sustain something.
Anybody else got time for one more? Dustin will finish us up.
Obviously, you're going to have to make decisions as far as roster concerned next week or so. What are going to be, I guess, some I don't know if tiebreakers is the word. I mean, what are some things that are going to give people an edge in terms of things that you feel like you need to keep on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, Lynn, when she hired me, it was all about changing the culture and defense. So at the end of the day, like, if it comes down to something that's really close, like, the culture piece is huge, and then you have to be able to defend to play. And that's just, I mean, I know it's important to put points on the board, but we're going to defend. And if you struggle at that in that area, you better find a way to get better at it very quickly, because if it's close, we're going to stick to those two. That's just where we are. That's where we're going to, that's the groundwork that has to be laid.